Tonight, we'd like to recognize our senior marching Toreadors. They've dedicated many hours to practicing music and drill over the years, and we couldn't be more proud of them. Mags Whitty, with parents Jenny and Ryan Whitty. Rachel Elizabeth Ungs, with parents Jamie John Ungs and Sean Marie Ungs. Morgan Cunningham, with parents Nathan and Amanda Cunningham. Nora Baber, with parents Levi and Jessica Baber. Reese Jacobson, with parents Riley and Michelle Jacobson. Marie Cabrera, with family members Carolina Cristobal and Carson Skinner. Jaslyn Williams, with parents Janelle Williams and Michael Williams. Elliot Baker, with parents Brad and Julie Baker and Hannah Baker. Brett Walker, with parent Jessica Michael. Madison Jackson, with parents Jenny Barr, Charlie Barr, and Jake Jackson. Noel Davidson, with parents Stacy Davidson and Derek Davidson. Juliana Lutz, with parents Jill and Roger Lutz. Logan Wickman, with parents Matt and Miranda Wickman. Bailey Bell, with parents Sarah and Adam Bell. Kyrie Reno, with parents Michael and Hope Reno. Cameron Skiles, with parents Chelsea Skiles and Jesse. Kaya Foster, with parents Andrew Foster and Mackenzie Foster. Isaac Carpenter, with parents Annie and Jason Carpenter. Wyatt Johnson, with parents Louis Johnson and Briella Johnson. Sammy Kiss, with parent Kevin Dewey, and in memory of mom, Teresa Schoen. Jasmine Lopez, with her parents. Chloe Champ, with parent Stephanie Hart. Alex Saunders, with parent Joe Saunders. Ethan Thompson, with parents Dustin and Amy Thompson. Thank you, seniors and their parents, for their leadership and dedication. The colors for tonight's national anthem are being presented by Boone's Veterans Council. We invite everyone to stand, if able, as we honor our flag, country, and the men and women around the world who protect our freedom. The Star-Spangled Banner will be performed by our marching Toreador seniors under the direction of Sandy Kist.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live stream. I am Cam Lehman alongside Jacob Boone. Tonight's match will feature the Boone Toreadors and the Cadets from Iowa Falls, Alden. The Toreadors entered this matchup 1-2 on the season. Boone is led by senior quarterback Jude Baumgartner, who has thrown for over 350 yards through their first 3 games. The Cadets entered tonight's matchup with a record of 1-2 as well. Jacob, what have you seen so far from this Toreadors offense that sort of gives you some hope going into this game?
Well, something I'm seeing, Cam, right now is a Toreador team that has a lot of confidence in their running back. They've handed the ball off to Maddox McIntyre, their junior running back, a lot this season. One of the most carries in the entire state of Iowa, and he's 10th in 4A for yards with 353 and 4 touchdowns. So I see a team that is very confident in playing some old-style football, which is running the ball up the gut.
Yeah, they've had lots of trust in that running back who got some experience last year behind senior running back Lucas Boucher, who's now graduated, along with lots of other key pieces from the Toreadors offense last year. So they sort of had to revamp the whole offense, but we'll see what they can draw up here on the first drive, as it looks like the Cadets will be set to kick off with Dane Brecky set deep to return for the Toreadors.
Yeah, and Cam, we mentioned that a lot of confidence in that running back, like I said, but also part of it is you have to remember the Toreadors have an all-senior returning offensive line, which has been huge confidence booster for not only their run game, but their pass game with Jude.
The Cadets set to kick it off here, and it'll get the game underway. Kickoff here. And Tate Hollenkamp was on the return. The Toreadors take over for the first drive of the game. They get the ball at their 33-yard line. And we'll see what senior quarterback Jude Baumgartner can get going here for the Toreadors early in the game. Last time out against Gilbert didn't have the best showing, so we'll see how much trust they have in him starting off this game. Some movement on the first snap of the game, as it looks like the Cadets' defensive line jumped early. And so the Toreadors will be starting 5 yards closer than they already were. And that brings up 1st and 10 still. But now just that little bit closer than they already were before. Get the snap, hands it off to Maddox. Maddox able to make a couple people miss, and he's there on the rush.
Maddox McIntyre on the carry.
Gain of 11 or so. It'll be enough to move the chains. Good enough for a Toreador first down. And right off the bat, first play, you see a handoff to Maddox, who's had so much just carry so far this year. And it just shows you how much trust they have in that running back. And they send Brecky in motion, pitch out to McIntyre. He cuts inside of a blocker and is upended after a gain of about 5.
Carson Callis and Kyler Patton.
Couple Cadets in on the tackle. It brings up 2nd and 5 for the Toreadors. They're right at the 50-yard line, so already from this offense, some decent ability to move the ball against this Cadets defense. Baumgartner set, ready to receive the snap. Brecky in motion again, and another handoff to McIntyre. He's able to find some daylight, and he's brought down after a big gain for the Toreadors. They faked that handoff with Brecky coming in motion, and Maddox able to find a big hole up the middle. Moves the ball to about the 35. And so already 3 plays into the game, Toreadors have had big success on the ground. no trouble moving the ball. And we'll see what they decide to do here on this 1st and 10 once again. Whistle blows from the sidelines. I think the Toreadors elected to take a timeout with the play clock winding down. So we will take a break up in the booth as well, and we will be back after the timeout. And we're back after the short break. Toreadors called a timeout to get the play call in. And Baumgartner's pass is incomplete over the middle of the field.
Yeah, Cam, that ball is intended for Noah Davies, who has been Jude's favorite target all season so far. Noah has 190 receiving yards on the season, and so he's been one of Jude's favorite targets, and I'm interested to look how they combine him not only in the pass game but in the run game. He's been a very effective weapon for the Toreadors, getting him involved in multiple parts of the game.
Yeah, you know, Baumgartner in the passing game, he has two plus solid options out there with Davies and Hollenkamp, who he's shown lots of trust in. With the 50-50 ball, lobbing it up there, has trust that they'll be able to come down with it. And Davies has certainly been one of his favorite targets out on the field. And McIntyre gets a handoff and a gain of solid yardage, but it brings up a 3rd and 3 for the Toreadors. Gained about 7 on that rush. So far we've seen lots of run plays mixed in. 1 pass play so far, but they've had decent success on the ground so far, moving it with McIntyre. And they'll go right back to it again. He finds a small hole up there in the line, and it'll be close to a 1st down. We'll see where they decide to spot the ball, and it will be just enough to move the chains. And it's just enough to move them for the Toreador 1st down. So now we'll have 1st and 10. Toreadors approaching the red zone here. Last time out at Gilbert, only got to the red zone a couple times and able to get it home one of those times. Another pass there from Baumgartner, incomplete to Davies. So far, both pass attempts have gone towards Davies' side. Both of them have fallen incomplete. Brings up 2nd and 10 here. So we'll see what the Toreadors elect to do, whether they keep it on the ground or go back to the air, being in this position to get on the board early against the Cadets. Baumgartner receives the snap, hands it off to McIntyre. He gets around on the edge. Nice little spin move there to make a man miss, and he's gain of about 9 or 10. Just short of the 1st down, so it'll be a gain of 9 on the play. Gain of 8 on the play, actually. They spot him a little bit short of where we thought it was going to be up in the booth, so it'll bring up a 3rd and 2. Last time they were in a 3rd and short yardage, they kept it on the ground and got just enough to move the chains. So won't be surprised if we see them keep it on the ground again with McIntyre. They do, and he's got enough room and picks up the yardage for the 1st down.
Maddox is definitely able to pick up a lot of extra yards. You see he gets hit about at the line of scrimmage, but then he just keeps his feet moving, and the power of Maddox is able just to keep the momentum going, and he gets his offensive line to help him out with a little bit of pushing, which has been a good connection between the two. So I fully expect Maddox to get a lot of touches here today, which we've seen on the first drive.
Yeah, he's been great with getting yards after contact. We've seen a lot of it already here where he sort of makes a man miss or takes the hit to gain a couple more yards, but right there just got caught up. No gain on the play there. Brings up 2nd and 10.
Brings up 2nd and 10 at the 10.
Toreadors are at the 10-yard line, so they're in a nice spot here to be able to get some points on the board first and sort of force the Cadets to respond on their next offensive drive. Baumgartner with the handoff to Maddox. McIntyre up the middle of the line for a short gain. Gets only about 2 or 3 there. So now that brings up a 3rd and 8. 3rd and goal from the 8. So we'll see what they decide to go with here.
They've ran the ball on both 3rd down plays so far, so wonder if they're going to stick with what's working or if they'll maybe try to get Jude a pass attempt here.
Send the receiver in motion, and it's a wide receiver screen out for Davies. He's able to sort of get around a guy there, but then brought down by a couple other Cadets. So now brings up an interesting choice here for the Toreadors. Keep the offense out there and go for it on this 4th and goal, which it looks like is what they're going to decide to do.
Showing some early trust here in the Toreadors offense. I like the call.
Trying to get on the board first and force the Cadets to respond, so they keep the offense out there trying to put the pressure on the Cadets' defense. McIntyre in the backfield, 3 receivers out wide. Baumgartner passes, drops back, able to get around, and finds Davies in the back corner of the end zone for a Toreador touchdown. Baumgartner sensed the pressure coming from the Toreador side of the field and able to get around him and find Davies in the back corner of the end zone, almost unguarded for the easy completion there. And now they'll bring on the extra point unit to try and make it a 7-0 lead for the Toreadors.
You know, Cam, you know what I like about that call? Not only does that show trust in your offense, that shows trust in your defense. Offense doesn't get it right there. You have the Cadets pinned about the 4-yard line, showing trust in your defense to go out there and get a stop and put your offense in good field possession.
Yeah, they were aggressive on the call there, and it ends up working out for the Toreadors, so now they're in a great spot here, up 7-0 after that receiving touchdown from Davies. The extra point by Malin was good. So early here in the first quarter, Boone able to move the ball well on their first drive, and they end up getting the 6 points with the receiving touchdown. And just great awareness from Jude there in the pocket to sense the pressure coming in, get around the man and keeping his eyes downfield to find the receiver.
Yeah, and I'd like to point something out too about our special teams. I know we don't give him a lot of statistical props, but that is Noel's 10th field goal make on the season, I believe, and so he has been a great step-in kicker to replace Dylan Bolton, who was a lost senior last year. So Noel's done a great job to come in here and step in, and he's been a great kicker for the Toreadors.
Yeah, you mentioned Dylan Bolton. He was one of the seniors lost in a big class last year, losing leading rusher, leading receiver. But you're able to bring back your whole offensive line, most of your defensive line, able to bring back your quarterback. So ultimately sets them up in a good spot, and we saw the offensive power on that drive there, and then Malin's kick finds its way out of bounds. So that'll set the Cadets up with better field position than what the Toreadors had maybe hoped for. And so the Toreadors send their defense out with a 7-0 lead. So far, the Toreadors defense hasn't looked too bad against some of the competition, able to get some pressures in early, couple tackle for losses, but just haven't been able to get on the winning column for a couple of the games.
Yeah, that defense is one of the things that kept them in that game last week. That defense, I thought, played pretty well up until the end, which you like to see out of a team.
And it's a little wide receiver screen to Duke, and gain of not very much on the play there. Casiano was in on the tackle.
Yeah, looking at Javi real quick, Cam. Javi leads the team in tackles for loss with 4 on the season. So he's averaging just 1 over per game. So Javi's been a big guy up front to put the opposing team in the backfield, which you like to see. The Toreadors defense has been very, very effective because you've got a great defensive line between Javi and John and Wesley Sharp and Dane Garrett, but also Romero, who has been the safety, has been a big help for the Toreadors defense with 2 interceptions and 1 pick six. So we've got some ball hawkers out there in the secondary, and we've got a great defensive line for the Toreadors too.
It was a run there on second down for the Cadets, brings up a 3rd and 3. So they've got it to do it both times, one through a screen and the other a handoff. And the quarterback keeps it here. Able to bring in some pressure from the Toreadors defensive line. He scrambles out, and it's going to be close over there. Some flags fly in after the play. Callis on the scramble after the Toreadors defensive line was able to bring in some pressure. Hit out of bounds over on the far side of the field. There's a late flag on the play. We'll see what the call is.
Looks like this one's going to be on the Toreadors. That might have been roughing the passer.
On the Toreadors. Those 15 yards, so bring up a first down for the Cadets at the Boone 40-yard line.
Yeah, so a penalty over on the far side of the field moves the Cadets 15 yards closer. And now they'll be set up with better field position and a new set of downs. So we'll see what they draw up here on first down. And it's a quick pass over to Burrows, and he's able to get a decent gain there of about 7 or 8.
Pass complete to Cruz Burrows.
So far this Cadets offense has been able to respond pretty equal to the Toreadors offense in terms of moving the ball down the field in a nice pace. We'll see if they're able to match the points the Toreadors put up on their first drive. Callis gets a snap, quarterback keeper. But it's Casiano in on the stop almost immediately. No gain, if not a loss on the play.
On the stop, gain of about a yard, brings up 32.
Gain of about half a yard, maybe 1. It brings up 3rd and 2. Last time in this situation, Callis scrambled out and brought the Cadets into this field, into the Toreadors half of the field. But what a play by Casiano to sniff out the quarterback run and be able to stop it for a loss.
That's going to be false start, it appears.
Play is blown dead immediately after the snap. False start on the Cadets. Backs them up 5 yards and now brings up a 3rd and 7. So now whatever the play call was going to be there maybe changes a little bit. After getting backed up and now facing a 3rd and long. Callis gets a snap, drops back. Toreadors able to bring pressure almost immediately, and he finds a man over the middle of the field that's but brought up short of the line to gain.
It's complete to Colin Piper.
It was complete to Piper, but he couldn't quite get to the line.
With help from
And the Cadets keep the offense out there trying to match the aggressive play calling of the Toreadors that led to the touchdown early in the game. 4th and 4 now.
It's fourth down.
Yeah, that was a smart play by Javi. He stayed home on the screen and made the tackle right there to stop him.
And Callis takes a shot downfield and finds Olberding. And the Cadets answer on 4th down. And it now brings it
Touchdown.
to a score of 6-7. So on 4th and 4, Cadets decide to take a shot to the end zone, and it was able to connect and bring them into the end zone to try and tie up the game here.
Yeah, Cam, I don't know if you're noticing this, but I'm looking over at the Cadets side of their sideline, and it appears they have their backup quarterback, Jude Crossan, if I believe, and he is giving the quarterback on the field some play calls. He's looking at the Toreador secondary, and he's seeing how he can take advantage of that, and it looked as if he made a quick change to the starting quarterback, and maybe that was how they were able to see that they could beat the Toreadors deep right there.
A fake extra point here, but it's not going to work as he was brought down on the far side of the field. And an interesting play call there from the Cadets. Had the whole offensive line shifted over from the ball, offered no protection on the trick play, I guess you would call that.
Yeah, that was one of the weirder setups for an extra point. I'm not going to lie. I think the Toreadors had that one sniffed out the entire time. Noel Malin on the tackle looked unfazed when it happened. And so that was an interesting play call. I don't know how I feel about that.
Cadets try and sneak a fast one on the Toreadors to put them up by a point, but the Toreadors were ready for it. And so the Toreadors currently find themselves winning 7-6. And they will get the ball with just over a minute left to play in the first quarter. So far, both teams have looked very strong on offense, along with a couple big defensive plays here and there. But so far, looking like both teams been able to have a very effective offense, and we might be in for a shootout here tonight at Geppinger Field. The Cadets kick it away. Brecky is deep to return. And he's going to pick it up right about the 10, muffs it a little bit, and not able to get much on the return at all after missing the scoop. So now the Toreadors will take over at the 12-yard line. And they have quite the amount of field in front of them if they want to look to repeat what they did on the last drive and march in for 6. We saw them move the ball well on their last drive. They had better field position to start it, so we'll see what they're able to do.
Well, Cam, I'll point this out really quickly. The Toreadors, I don't think, have done that much stuff wrong this season, but one thing they have struggled with is special teams and moving the ball on the kick return, and so hopefully looking forward when they can get that figured out. But when they have been effective on it, Dane's been just about unstoppable to bring down, so hopefully that's something Toreadors can look to improve on throughout the rest of the season.
The rush by McIntyre, able to pick up about 5 or 6 yards, and it'll bring up second down from their own 17. Their last drive out, we saw lots of run plays, but of course a touchdown came on that reception from Davies in the back corner of the end zone. And they'll keep it on the ground again, being backed up in their own 20-yard line. Maddox gets the carry again. It'll be enough to move the chains. So the Toreadors pick up another first down with just about a minute and a half left. Nope, just 30 seconds left to play in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think the Toreadors are going to definitely take their time on this drive. This could be a long drive. Lots of run plays coming when they have that dual threat of Maddox and Dane Brecky back there.
And then, of course, Baumgartner is also able to take off on the quarterback keeper on a scramble. But now they'll get backed up. Backs them up 5 yards after the false start.
From their own 18-yard line.
And now it's a 1st and 15. Under 5 seconds left to play. And I think they'll just let the play clock run down here and take the 7-6 lead into the break after the first quarter. So far, Jacob, that first quarter, Toreadors find themselves up. What have you seen so far from either the Toreadors offense or defense that's led them to be up after the first quarter?
Yeah, so what I've seen so far from the Toreadors is a very established run game. They've been practicing that all week, I've heard, and so very established run game, which you'd like to see from the Toreadors. Plan on them to keep using that the entire rest of the game and the entire rest of the season. Something I've seen on the Toreadors' defensive side is their defensive line has been getting a lot of pressure on that quarterback. One thing I'd like to see improve on from the Toreadors, though, is maybe bringing that secondary in a little bit. They've been beat. I know they were beat long on the touchdown, but they were beat short the entire rest of the drive. So bringing the secondary up and showing faith in your safeties and in your corners, I think is going to be a huge help. Overall, good quarter from the Toreadors.
Thank you again to Fairway.
Yeah, both teams able to capitalize on the passing game after facing fourth downs in the red zone. And both defensive have been having some struggles here after both teams moved the ball pretty well on their first drives. But Toreadors are backed up here. 1st and 15 from their own 18-yard line. So if there is ever a chance for the Cadets to capitalize here, this would be it with the poor field position. Try and force a 3 and out here and get the ball back near around midfield. The pass was intended for Brogdon, but it falls incomplete.
Pass was intended for Bodie Brogdon.
Broken up by a Cadet defender. And so now it's 2nd and 15. Still from inside their own 20. And coming into this game, Toreadors have had lots of trust in the junior running back Maddox McIntyre, but they've mixed in quite a few passes here early in the first quarter, and then first play of the second quarter is a pass attempt that falls incomplete. So we've seen also a little bit more trust now in the senior quarterback, but they go right back to the ground with Brecky.
Yeah, Cam, something I want to point out is I got the privilege to interview Bodie Brogdon, who was intended on that first snap. One thing he said, he plays H for the team, which for those who do not know what the H is, it's like a fullback. He said that they're looking to implement him more in the run game and the pass game and get him more involved. And so I'm excited to see that if the Toreadors decide to do that here or when they're deciding to put that into the playbook. And so that's something you can maybe look out for as the Toreadors team gets going. But good words from Bodie Brogdon.
Keep it on the ground with McIntyre, but brought up short of the line to gain. So it's 4th down now for the Toreadors.
That brings up the 4th and 4.
And Toreadors bring out the punt unit. Baumgartner back to punt. Gets the snap and kicks it away. That one travels way back there, still rolling. And Jude flips the entire field, going from their own 20-yard line all the way down to the Cadets 10. So that one basically flipped the entire field. And that sets up the Toreadors defense nice here early in the second quarter.
That was definitely Jude's best punt of the entire season so far. That was one heck of a punt by Jude. That was a great play.
Last game struggled to punt the ball, had about, I think, 5 opportunities, and didn't do the best with those 5, but that one right there looked real great as he flips the entire field for the Toreadors defense, and it's a quarterback run by Callis. Not enough for the first down. It'll bring up a 2nd and 1. Looks over to the sideline for Burrows, and he's bottled up by some Toreadors defenders. And it'll be close to a first down. We'll see where they decide to spot it, and they will say he got just enough to move the chains.
Not before the Cadets pick up the first down. It's going to be 1st and 10 from their own 21-yard line.
So now it's a 1st and 10 from their own 21-yard line. Toreadors defense looking to get a stop here and keep the Cadets from taking the lead. Toreadors find themselves up 7-6 here early into the second quarter. On the ground to do it. And he's swallowed up for no gain.
There's no gain on the play. Brings up 2nd and 10.
So it'll bring up a 2nd and 10. Toreadors defense looked real strong on that one, able to get behind the line and get him for no gain.
Something cool you can see from the Toreadors here is they've implemented this new defense with 2 safeties. We'll see how that works right here.
Find Piper over the middle of the field on the crosser. He gets a gain there of about 7 or 8, but will still be short of the first down. Tackles by Jonathan Van Rokel there. He's been sort of a strong point on this Toreadors defense. And it'll bring up a 3rd and short. So, big play here early in the second quarter. Toreadors really crowding the box. And there's a flag. And it looks like the Cadets will be backing up.
We almost just got a Cadet tush push. That would have been an interesting thing to see.
That would have been something. And so far from the Cadets, we have seen some interesting play calls. Obviously, that one trick play on the extra point. And then maybe looking to do the tush push there. But we won't get to see how that played out as one of the Cadets jumped early.
Yeah, you said they've called some interesting plays. I agree, Cam. This playbook almost seems like it's kind of out of Madden. You know, I've played my fair share of Madden, and I see the same plays in the video game. And so I'm glad to see that we have an offense that's willing to try anything and everything.
Yeah, Cadets take a timeout as the play clock was winding down. Didn't have the play call in that they wanted. So they'll take their first timeout of the half. Make sure they're all on the same page here. And one of the more important snaps of the game here so far, a 3rd and 7, deep in their own end of the field on their 24-yard line. If the Toreadors defense could come up with a stop here, they would be able to put their offense in some decent field position to go out and have another opportunity to score. And they got the play in that they wanted, and we'll see what they drew up during that timeout.
Torador's defense is looking a little bit stronger this go around, Cam. I've been impressed with their defense this time around.
Yeah, the defense has definitely been doing pretty good. And Callis will roll out, looking deep downfield. Leaves the pass short for the intended receiver down the far side of the field. And it brings up a 4th and long, 4th and 7 to be exact. And they'll bring out the punt team. So Toradors could be looking to get the ball back in some pretty good field position here and put some more points on the board before the half. Right now, they're up 7-6 after the Cadets failed 2-point attempt. Ref holding up the ball at the line of scrimmage. And now the Cadets will kick it off. And that's a nice little punt there. Keeps rolling. Brecky going back on it, but Cadets will get it around the 15. So far both teams got pinned deep in their own end of the field, and both punt on 4th down and flip the field both times with Baumgartner's punt, and then that one right there. So now Toradors back down all the way on their end of the field. Just about 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in the first half. And after both teams' first drives have ended with points, so far both teams been held scoreless here in the second quarter. Baumgartner gets it, looking over, and able to find Hollenkamp. And that'll be a decent gain on 1st down.
That's Hollenkamp on the reception.
Hollenkamp was there on the reception. And just an absolute strike by Jude, finding the receiver right where it needed to be.
Toradors came out pretty much all runs in the first drive. Since then, Cam, we've seen pretty much nothing but passes from the Toradors, it feels like. We've seen a lot more trust in their quarterback, Jude.
Yeah, after that first drive and the whole first quarter, really, it was run play after run play, maybe a couple passes mixed in there. But since then, they've been airing it out a little bit more, trying to get some more trust back into the senior Baumgartner. But right there, they go back to the ground and get a gain of about 3. After that first drive, the Cadets' defense has looked real strong against the run, maybe expecting it more often, seeing the Toradors' first drive and game plan. And they haven't had much success on the ground since that first drive. And they'll air it out again. Baumgartner looking deep for Hollenkamp, but he's unable to go up and make the play on the 50-50 ball. Piper was in on the deflection for the Cadets. And that was one of those that it was a second down. You draw up a long ball and you go to one of your more trusted senior receivers. And it was a 50-50 ball. Hollenkamp just unable to come down with it. Now it'll bring up a 3rd and long for the Toradors offense here. Baumgartner sees the snap, rolls out. Looking for Davies over on the far side of the field, but a hit jars the ball loose. And it falls incomplete, and now 4th and 8. So the Toreadors will punt it back to the Cadets. Baumgartner last time from a similar spot as this was able to flip the field almost entirely and pin the Cadets within their own 10-yard line. So we'll see what he's able to do here on this one. This one sort of a higher, more spiraling punt, still able to get a decent roll, and it'll be right about the 25-yard line where the Cadets will take over. Both teams were able to score on their opening drives of the game. Since then, both defenses have looked a lot stronger and been able to hold them scoreless after that. Jacob, what have you seen from this Toreadors defense that sort of looked better than it did last week and the previous weeks and has been able to hold the Cadets to only that first touchdown?
Yeah, so the Toreadors got beat deep the first time. Brought out 2 safeties. They put Noah back at safety, took out a defensive lineman, and so they're looking to not get beat deep. Now the Cadets go to the run game, so that'll be the only thing, but the Toreadors have a lot of trust in these linebackers. Toreadors do not want to get beat deep, and that has been evident throughout the weeks.
Do it on the run. A decent gain there. Casiano was in on the tackle. Cadets fed a pretty mixed offensive attack so far. They scored that 1 touchdown on the deep pass play, but they've done a decent job mixing in the run and then those sort of screen passes you see right there over to Olberding. He steps out at around the 37. But it will be enough for the Iowa Falls Alden first down.
Okay, I just mentioned how the Toreadors do not want to get beat deep. Iowa Falls taking full advantage of those 2 safeties. Couple of short pass plays, couple of runs. They're going to try to beat them in the short game and make the Toreadors choose what they want to commit to.
Yeah, Toreadors sort of dropping back the defense after the long ball touchdown. But the Cadets have taken advantage of that and mixed in the short passes along with the run. And it hasn't been as effective for them as that first drive, but that brings up a 2nd and 6. Callis ready to receive the snap for the Cadets. No running back in the backfield. Quick pass intended for Dewitt, but unable to bring it in. And a nice job by the Toreadors defense, able to break that one loose. And now it brings up a 3rd and 7. Big play here for the Cadets offense. See if they're able to convert on this 3rd and long. Callis drops back and looks long again. Able to find Olberding. And it's good enough for a first down.
Up to the 50-yard line.
Cam, I'm going to make a comparison. I'll be interested to see what you think about it, though. This Iowa Falls team is giving me, like, Iowa Hawkeye vibes. They run the ball. When they do pass the ball, it's very short and very quick, similar to what we see out of the Iowa Hawkeyes every Saturday. So I'm almost wondering if they're running the playbook like the Iowa Hawkeyes are.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Iowa football so far this year, but I'll take your word for it. But just both teams almost, I would say, with the heavy run offense and then mixing in the pass only when they need to.
Very much Iowa football. Run first, pass second.
Gain of about 6 brings up 2nd and
Iowa Falls able to gain 6 on first down. And now brings up 2nd and 4 from the Toreadors' 45-yard line. And Callis hands it off to Dewitt. Dewitt able to get a decent chunk there. Enough to gain the Iowa Falls first down. And on this drive so far, Toreadors' defense has been looking a little bit weaker than they did the previous couple drives, as Iowa Falls has been able to move it like they did in that on their first drive of the game where they were able to put up the touchdown. But we'll see if they're able to keep moving it this well or if the Toreadors will focus in and be able to come up with a stop. And there's a big run for Oberding. And he is knocked out just short of the goal line. But a huge play there for the Cadets.
Yeah, that was a great read by the Iowa Falls quarterback. Saw the Toreadors were bringing a blitz, took full advantage of it, trusted his wide receiver, left him one-on-one. The big play from Iowa Falls. That was a good play from Iowa Falls.
So now they're on the Toreadors 7, and it's a quick pass over to Oberding. A flag comes in, but he's able to bring it down right about the 1-yard line. We'll see what the call is here and if they'll be backing up the Cadets.
It appears to be down about the half-yard line, but there is a flag.
And we'll see what the call is. And it appears to be backing up the Cadets. So instead of 2nd and goal on the 1, it's a pass interference on the offense, and it backs them up outside the Toreadors' 20-yard line.
15-yard penalty makes it first and goal from the Toreador 22.
So now a 1st and goal from the 22-yard line. Callis over to Dewitt. Dewitt looking for a hole. Able to find a decent amount of yardage.
Dewitt on the reception.
Toreadors brought out another linebacker, took out a defensive lineman for this goal line stand that they're trying to go with, trying to get some more secondary help and help across the middle and maybe not put as much pressure on the quarterback, but see maybe if they can stop the run here.
And now it's 2nd and 16. After that pass interference call a couple plays ago. Callis over to Burrows, and he finds a decent amount after the Iowa Falls offensive line was able to set up a decent block for him. And so we gain about 7 on the play there, and it'll bring up a 3rd and goal. 9 yards to go. And after the first drive for both teams, this is closest either team has got to scoring.
Yeah, look at that clock too. If Iowa Falls is in good field position, they might be able to take this lead into the half. They've taken about 8 minutes on this drive, so that's been huge for them.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that if they don't get it here, that this would be 4th down territory. And the Cadets take a timeout after bringing the clock down to just about 50 seconds. And it's a 3rd and goal from the 9-yard line. And we will be back with you after the short break. We're back with you after the Iowa Falls timeout. They're facing a 3rd and goal here. Just under a minute to play in the first half. They currently face a 1-point deficit, but they could be able to take this lead into the half, do it, able to find a decent run. Not going to be enough to get into the end zone. It'll bring up a 4th and goal from very short yardage. And this is definitely 4th down territory here for the Cadets. 4th and goal from about the 4-yard line.
They're going for it here, it looks like.
And they're keeping the offense on the field, trying to take a lead into the half.
Undoubtedly the last play of the half here. Cadets are taking their sweet time watching that clock run down.
Yeah, clock is down to 5. And they take a timeout with it at 4 seconds.
I bet they're going to stick that field goal team out there now. They've ran the clock all the way down to 4 seconds. Good call by the Cadets, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do here.
In my mind, that's some weird clock management. You had about 15 seconds left after you ran the play. But I guess if you were going for the field goal the whole time, might as well run the clock down. But a little bit surprised they're not going for it here on the 5-yard line.
Yeah, I think the Cadets just want to take their lead and go into the half. Don't want to give the Tortoise a chance to even put a play out there, but I'm interested to see what they're going to do here.
Run it down to 4 seconds, called their timeout, and then they march the offense back out there. Last play of the first half here. And it's a Boone timeout. So Cadets take a timeout, and then Boone sees what they come out in, what formation, and they take a timeout of their own to make sure they're set up well enough to try and defend this 1-point lead they have. Right now, the Cadets are down 6-7. But with this last play of the first half, they would look to take that lead into the locker room with them. And then they also get the ball coming out of the break. So if they're able to put points on here, then they would get another opportunity again. And if the Toreadors aren't able to come up with a stop here, the Cadets would be looking pretty good here at halftime.
Yeah, this would shape up to be an interesting game if the Cadets get it here. Toreadors will have to put full trust in their defense in the second half.
One of the biggest plays of the game so far, a 4th and goal from the 5-yard line of the Toreadors, trying to make a stand. 4 seconds left on the clock. Callis keeps it, and it's intercepted by Davies, and he's got some daylight, and he's going down the field, and he's going to take it all the way, getting tracked down. He's at the 20, the 10, and he's pushed at right about at the 5.
We do have a flag on the play, though.
There is a flag down right where the ball got picked off. We'll see if this one's coming back and if the Cadets get another chance at it.
What a play by the Toreadors.
Callis rolled out of the pocket looking for a receiver near the pylon in the end zone, but Davies was there for the interception.
Heck of a read by Davies, seeing the quarterback roll out, playing off a little bit, and then as soon as he sees his eyes, read the quarterback eyes and go and take the ball.
It's a block in the back on the Toreadors after Davies got the interception and on the return. But that will conclude the end of the first half. Toreadors, nice goal line stand there. They're able to prevent the Cadets from capitalizing on that 4th and goal, and they take the 1-point lead into the locker room. Currently up 7-6 after finding Davies in the end zone on their very first drive of the game, but other than that, both offenses have been pretty quiet after their opening drives. We will be with you after the marching band performs for halftime to start the second half and see how the teams perform late in the game.
Christine Mueller. Drum majors, is your band ready? And the field is yours.
Noel Malin kicks it deep. And
Cadets are going to take over first
the
and 10.
Cadets take over
18-yard
at around their 20-yard line. Cadets were able to almost capitalize on their end of the first half drive, but on 4th and goal, Callis's pass was intercepted by Davies, so it allowed the Toreadors to take their 1-point lead into the half. And they are currently up 7-6. Keep it on the ground there and get a gain of about 2 or 3.
brought down by Dane Garrett.
That last drive for the Cadets was looking real promising. They drove their way all the way down the field, but then, Jacob, you sort of saw the Toreadors' defense sort of clamp down and not allow them to get any more yards when they were in that goal line situation. What that show you about this Toreadors defense and how hard they play for their team?
Well, that entire drive, I was thinking to myself, the Toreadors need to have a little sense of urgency. They need to get going on defense, and right there they showed that they had that sense of urgency. That kind of brings life back going into halftime, makes that halftime a bit more enjoyable to reprocess and get the brain and get the mind in the right place. And so that just shows that these Toreadors have a good sense of urgency and know when it's time to get going on defense.
Yeah, they were looking kind of lackadaisical the whole drive up until they entered the red zone, and so far here, they haven't looked too bad, but Cadets were able to pick up a first down on the previous play, and Callis keeps it over on the far side of the field, wrapped up by a couple of Boone defenders. Should be a gain of about 5 or 6.
On the carry. Noah Davies on the stop.
There were a couple of Toreadors defenders in there on the tackle, and they only gave up a gain of 6, which brings up 2nd and 4 here for the Cadets offense. Kalous looking over to the sideline to get the play. And receives the snap and hands it off. And it's pretty much bottled up. Patton on the carry. And no gain on the play. So it'll bring up a 3rd and 4. 3rd and 3 after the gain of 1. And Cadets drive looking kind of promising so far. They were able to convert a couple first downs, but now facing a 3rd and 2. And they get the screen pass off, but I think he's going to be just short of the line to gain.
Oberding on a reception.
Oberding was the target. He was able to make the catch, but only gets a gain of 1 on after the catch.
Noel Malin on the stop.
Braddock was in on the tackle, and now Cadets have an interesting choice here of if they'll punt it deep or
4th and 1.
if they'll keep the offense out there and go for it.
Yeah, Noel Malin in there on the tackle. That guy, I mean, he's been maybe the biggest presence out there on the defensive side for the Toreadors, I'd say. Started this season off as the 3rd-string linebacker when Brendan was out for a couple of games. Comes in, fills his role, does his job well, earns the starting linebacker spot, and has been nothing but a defensive presence the entire season. Like we mentioned earlier, good on the special teams, great kicker for the Toreadors. Talk about a guy that just fills the role and does a job. Noel Mann is exactly what you want, and he's only a junior, which is a great thing for the Toreadors. He's going to be huge in their seasons going forward.
Cadets face a 4th and 1. They're out there in that sort of tush-push formation, but then they take a timeout and might be rethinking their choice of punt it or go for it. If they go for it and get stopped, the Toreadors will be set up pretty nice to extend the lead they currently have. But if the Cadets are able to convert, then they can keep driving down the field. And then they could also punt it, but it looks like they'll keep the offense out there and try and pick up this 1 yard that's needed to keep the drive alive.
That is the second time they've came out in that tush-push formation and called a timeout. I'm starting to think they don't actually know how to run the tush-push. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, now they come out one back in the backfield along with Kalous, and we'll see what the play call is here. And it looks like it'll be an option play towards that left side, but it'll be stopped well short of the line to gain. Tackle for loss. And a flag comes in way late after the play. Flag over on the far side of the field. But Kalous kept it, and it looked like it was maybe an option play over to that side of the field, but he elects to not pitch it, keep it himself, and the Toreadors defense was able to swarm and get him well short of the line.
Yeah, Noah Davies in there swallowed that play up. I mean, that was a great play by him. They are going to move the chains, though, it appears. There was a flag on the Toreadors.
Not unsportsmanlike conduct against Boone.
Is that off of Noah's celebration?
I think it might have been.
That is a ridiculous call. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Kid comes up with maybe the biggest play of the game and gets flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct after celebrating the tackle for loss that gives the Toreadors the ball inside their own 50. I mean...
Oh, it's horrible. What happened?
Never mind, it's our ball. It's our ball.
I mean, we'll take the yards, I suppose. They added it on.
Added it on after the end of the play.
We're going to go our fault on that one.
Hand up, take accountability. That's on us. But Toreadors take over, still with decent field position, just not as good as it would have been without the penalty.
Yeah.
And they kept it on the ground with McIntyre on their first play of the second half. He got a gain of about 5, and it brings up his second down for the Toreadors. And they'll keep it on the ground with him again. He's able to find a hole down that far side of the field. Not able to get much with it, though. Maybe a gain of about 2 or 3.
Yeah, Maddox was looking pretty strong in that first half. He had about 13 rushes for 80 yards. Looking to get his fourth straight game. My apologies. Fourth straight game of 100 yards. So I'll be interested to see if he can get that. Shouldn't be too hard of a task for him at this point. It's about what's expected out of him.
And it's now 3rd and 3 here for the Toreadors early in their first drive of the second half. They keep it with Jude on the ground. He tries to push forward, but he's going to be marked a yard or 2 short of the line to gain. And if you're the Toreadors, Jacob, do you think you keep the offense out there? Or what do you do? Because he's 4th and 1. And it looks like they'll keep the offense out there. You think that's the right move, Jacob?
1,000%. I would hand the ball off to Maddox McIntyre out here when you've got a guy that has a similar characteristics and similar running back to prime Nick Chow. You got to give him the ball. That's a reference for those who know. Shout out the 1995 senior class of the Toreadors.
Yeah, they'll keep it with Jude, and he's got more than enough to move the chains, and he's still going. The pile kept pushing, and he was able to break free, and he picks up more than what was needed to get the first down.
Yeah, the Toreadors right there, they have this formation called power, and that's where they take off a receiver and add on an offensive lineman, that offensive lineman being Javier Cassiano. They call it right there, they get their line going together, and they just push everyone forward. Great call by the Toreadors right there, and it showed.
So now 1st and 10 on the 34. And this first drive for the Toreadors second half has looked pretty good there. And Jude able to make a couple people miss on the quarterback run. And he'll be just short of the line. Gain of about 6. And it'll bring up 2nd and 4, maybe 2nd and 3.
Brings up 2nd and 3.
It will be a 2nd and 3 here after the refs spot the ball. And it got some movement prior to the snap. Couldn't tell if Boone jumped first or if it was a cadet who moved. But they're backing the Toreadors up, so now instead of a 2nd and 3, they will face a 2nd and 8.
Makes it 2nd and 8.
Yeah, that penalty was on Jonathan Van Rokel. First year playing tight end, trying to fill in for the huge departure of Tyson Shivers. He's done a pretty good job so far. He's been mostly a blocking tight end. He plays D-line for the Toreadors too. Just trying to get familiar with the role and fill it.
Yeah, and it's pretty big spot to fill with senior Tyson Shivers being the one you're coming after. He was a big part of the Toreadors offense and defense. And so if you're Jonathan, you got a big role to fill, but I think he's done nicely at filling it in. And the Toreadors false start again. And so now it's 2nd and 13. So instead of a 2nd and 3, you get backed up to a 2nd and 8, and then you get backed up again to now a 2nd and 13. And penalties could really kill this drive here for the Toreadors.
Yeah, that can't happen. You can't have 2 false starts back to back. You can't have a second and manageable and great field possession. It's just like shooting yourself in the foot. You can't go nowhere.
They give it back on the ground to McIntyre, and he's got a decent gain there. Brings it to a 3rd and 7.
Brings up 3rd and 7.
So penalties could be a big reason here why this Toreador drive stalls out. If it does, we'll see what they're able to do here on this 3rd down. Jude gets a snap, hands it to McIntyre. McIntyre finds a hole, and he's got enough for the 1st down. About a 7 or 8 yard gain. And they're going to mark him actually just short of the line. From up here, I thought he got more than enough. And now it'll bring up 4th and 1. They keep the offense out there. And they do what you were talking about earlier. They bring in that extra offensive lineman and take out a receiver. Hollkamp started in the backfield, motions out wide. Baumgartner goes under center. McIntyre in the backfield, and they just sneak it forward. And the pile pushes forward, and it looks like he'll have enough.
Big push up front.
And it was a great push up front by the offensive line. And they get more than what they needed to keep the drive alive. So a Toreador 1st down on that quarterback sneak.
One of several cadets in on the stop.
Yeah, that's a great bounce back from the Toreadors. They see those 2 penalties, and they don't let their heads get low. They keep pushing. 1st down for the Toreadors.
Yeah, I mean, you see those 2 false starts back to back, and you're thinking that the drive might stall out, but just the Toreadors got very determined and were able to get all the yards they needed and some to get the 1st down, and now it brings up a 1st and 10 from the 24. But penalty on the Cadets will make it even closer. A 1st and 5 from the 19 now.
Yeah, this drive has been kind of a penalty battle. It's been kind of almost a mental battle. This shows the mental side of football. Can't get in your own head. Have to know the snap count. Have to watch the ball and stick with it.
Not much of a gain there on the 1st and 5. It was Davies on the carry, and he only gets a gain of about 2, it looks like. So now it'll be 2nd and 3. Yeah, and Jacob, like you said, this game's been lots of penalties, lots of mental focus. And so far this drive, Toreadors started at the 50, and they've chewed lots of time off this clock in the third quarter, only moving the ball about 30 yards. So, and that run play by McIntyre gets swallowed up immediately. And so that'll back them up even more. What have you seen from this offense so far this half, Jacob, in this first drive that's sort of shown you the adjustments they made coming out of the locker room and how they want to attack this Cadets defense moving forward in this game?
Yeah, so I've seen quite a few things. One thing I'd like to see a bit more is a sense of urgency. You're going to see right here, Tate Hollenkamp is getting to the line and beating him. He's beating his corner every single time. Toreadors could get to the line quick, get a quick hike off. That would be super helpful. But the main thing I've seen is they've just battled adversity. They've been the mentally more tough team. They've been the stronger team, I think. They haven't let penalties affect them. They've done everything right except for those 2 false starts. And when they did do something wrong, they bounced back from it. That interception was definitely a huge momentum taker. Toreadors just have all the momentum right now.
Yeah, Baumgartner's pass there, I think, was completed to Brogdon, but he gets brought down right about where he caught the ball. So it brings up a 4th and 5. And they keep the offense on the field. Just over a minute to play here in the third quarter. And the Toreadors will take a timeout. They couldn't get the call into Baumgartner. And so they take a timeout with just under a minute in the first half, or third quarter. So they now face a 4th and 5. And they move the ball pretty well this drive. We'll see what they draw up here and if they're able to convert or not. If they are able to convert, they are in nice field position and hopefully will add on to this 1-point lead they've had since the very first drive of the game. Both teams were able to score a touchdown. Iowa Falls did not convert on the 2-point conversion, so Toreadors have been up 7-6 ever since very early in the game. Both teams have had solid drives here to put points on the board. Obviously, Davies got that interception earlier in the game right on the goal line, which prevented the Cadets from capitalizing on that. And then the Doors now looking solid, but they are facing a 4th and 5. And we'll see if they can keep the drive going. In these critical yardage situations where they need decent yardages, they've gone to McIntyre a lot out of the backfield. They keep it with Baumgartner, and he throws it, and his pass gets picked off. Throw to a man who is fully covered. And intercepted by Palouse. But pretty much gives Iowa Falls the same field position they would have had regardless of if they can get the stop or the interception. But that interception, like you said earlier, Davies' interception flipped the momentum towards the Toreadors a lot going into halftime and then coming out. So we'll see what that can sort of do for the Cadets here and how much momentum they're able to build off of that. But they run a play action pass. Baumgartner rolls out looking for, I believe it was Brody Brogdon, but the Cadet defensive back just jumps it and was able to get the interception, and now they're set up on the 23-yard line. Klus hands it off, and it's a pass, but overthrown. He had the man wide open, and it was a nice play there, but just overthrows Piper. And they've ran that sort of they've been tricky before on that 2-point conversion that was not able to get converted. And then they've done some trick plays throughout the game, and then the tush push as well. But that one looked like they had a man open, but obviously the quarterback wasn't the one throwing him the ball, so just slightly overthrown. But
it's going to be a horse call on the Toreadors. Now let's go back to the trick plays. Cam, usually what I've seen them do is they bring out their second quarterback, and so you're able to spot out. Toradors probably know that, makes the Cadets flip it. They have their wide receiver throw it. He came to the pass. So different trickery, but the same playbook from the Cadets who get the holding call.
Just over 30 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Boone currently leading 7-6. Not much offensive action ever since that first quarter when both teams scored their touchdowns. And we'll see what Iowa Falls can do here on this play. He sort of just floats it up there for Dewitt. And he gets a solid gain. Well short of the first down marker still, though.
Dewitt's been a pretty big piece of this Iowa Falls team. Toradors really haven't done much to stop him. They've contained him, but they haven't stopped him fully.
Yeah, and he's been a big piece of the offense, both on the ground and through receiving. They like to get him some screen touches, some just short crossers over the middle, and that'll bring the third quarter to an end. And Boone still with the 7-6 lead with 12 minutes left to play in the game. We'll see if either offense can get something going and make up the ground or keep the lead here late in the game. And we will be back after the short break. And we are back with fourth quarter football from Geppinger Field. Toradors up 7-6. And we'll see if Iowa Falls Alden can get something going here late in the game to try and take the lead, or if this Toradors defense can stay strong like they've been ever since that first drive and keep the lead for the offense. Play by the Cadets brings up a 1st and 10. Keep it with, but then he flips it over to the receiver on the far side of the field, and he gets a solid gain of about 6 or 7. It was Burrows on the run.
That's an interesting play. Have your receiver block for about a second or two and then have him push off and run the ball, have it get flipped to him. That's an interesting play call from Iowa Falls, who, like we've mentioned a couple of times, has been tricky all game.
Yeah, so now a 2nd and 2 here. And they keep it on the ground, and he surges forward for more than what they needed for the first down. Dewitt once again on the carry. And it's good for the Cadets' first down. Group of Toradors in on the tackle. Ball right about the 50-yard line. And so far, the Cadets' offense has moved it pretty well ever since halftime, making some adjustments in the locker room.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a high-scoring battle at the start of the game. Those words were completely wrong. It's been nothing but a defensive showdown.
Yeah, and they keep it with Kalous, and he's able to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage and push forward for about 3 or 4 more, and it's gain of 5 or 6. McIntyre was in on the tackle there for the Toreadors. 2nd and 4 now. Cluse fakes a snap, looks over to the sideline. Maybe getting a play change. Gets a snap for real. Pulls it on the option, fakes a pass over there, and that was some nice play there by Cluse, who gets a gain of a lot of yards, and it's good enough for the Iowa Falls first down. Brought down by Davies on the tackle, but looked almost like a triple option type play. He keeps it from the running back, fakes the pitch over, creates space for himself to search forward for a couple more yards, and that was a nice play there from Cluse. And they'll keep it on the ground with him again. He moves around to the outside and is brought down by a group of Toreadors who push back.
Yeah, Kim, we go back to the interception by Iowa Falls that you threw. We talked about it maybe being a momentum pusher for Iowa Falls, and they have taken that and ran with it. They've been able to pick up these gains 6, 7, 8, just to keep it coming and going, and this definitely has been a momentum switcher. Speaking of momentum switchers, they get pushed back, so I guess that's good timing on the momentum part.
Yeah, you saw the interception by Davies before halftime be a big momentum swing for the Toreadors, and then the Cadets were able to get an interception of their own. And it swayed the momentum back to them, and then the couple big plays by Cluse and Dewitt and everybody else on the team. It's got the momentum fully back in their order. But that play didn't go for much, maybe a gain of about 3 or 4. Pass was complete to Burrows. It's now 2nd and 16. So once again, penalties could come back to bite the Cadets, just like it sort of stalled out the Toreadors' drive last time on the ball. And the Iowa Falls Alden maybe a little confused about the play call. Receivers looking over. Cluse looking deep. He goes up, and did he make the catch?
Wow.
He did, but he will be just short of the goal line. And what a play there.
He goes right over Clark and just catches it. That's a heck of a play. Heck of a ball. Heck of a catch. And that's just keeping your head up. If you're Clark, though, you can't let that get to you. You got to lock in right here, right now, and play some good goal line football.
Yeah, ball was placed right where it needed to. Piper goes up, makes the catch, contested. Jaden Clark never got his head around to locate the football, couldn't break up the big pass play, and so now they will have it on the 2-yard line. And they go with the screen pass to Olberding, and he's in for the touchdown, but now a flag way after the play.
That might be unsportsmanlike conduct on the Toreadors. There was some pushing after the touchdown. Maybe on the Cadets. Oh, on both teams.
Yeah, the penalties offset touchdown will stand, and it gives the Cadets a 12-7 lead as of now. Last time they scored a touchdown, they pulled out some trickery on the 2-point conversion. And we'll see what they do here. If they'll kick it and go up by 6, or try and go for 2 and go up by 7. Nope, math's off there. Go up by 5 or go up by 6.
It's all right. We all make mistakes here, Cam.
And they do elect to go for 2. And the pass by Kalous is completed. So they do go up by 7. My math was right the first time.
Ah, well.
Go up by a touchdown now. Late into this fourth quarter, Toradors are going to have to respond quick if they want to tie the game up.
Yeah, this game has been, there have not been that many big plays. That catch I was here right there, the biggest part of this game has been mental toughness and mental battle. The penalties have killed both sides. They've made both sides. Toradors have to take everything they've taken from the game, take all the past 3 quarters, throw it in the trash. Right here, right now. The last drives don't matter. Everything is here right now. Like Tim Tebow said, 30 minutes for the rest of your life. Except right now, 7 minutes for the rest of your life. Toradors got to go.
This game's been all about who has momentum. And right now, I would say Iowa Falls Alden has a lot of it after that jump ball that was brought down and the interception and then the touchdown most recently. I would say momentum is most definitely swinging their direction, and the Toradors are going to have to push against it fast in just over 7 minutes if they want a chance to tie this game up. Sparks set to kick off for the Cadets. A low line driving kick caught by Brecky, and he's looking to get around the edge, not able to get much. Tackle looked a little bit awkward there. Maybe caught a little bit of the face mask, but the ref keeps the flag in the pocket.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was a face mask, Cam. I'm going to trust the refs here, though, but interesting call to say the less. But big drive from the Toradors here.
Yeah, so they take over at their own 27-yard line. Just about 7 minutes and 30 seconds left for them to get anything going. And we'll see what they decide to do, if they'll keep it on the ground with McIntyre or go to their trusted receivers with Hollenkamp and Davies. If you're the Toradors here, Jacob, what are you thinking they do?
I'm thinking what they're doing right now is what I'm going to do. Maddox McIntyre has been undoubtedly the best weapon on this offense all season long. You've got time. You don't need to feel like you need a rush. You got all your time out still, I'm pretty sure. So if I'm the Toradors, just keep punching it up the gut with McIntyre. It's worked. They've got a good offensive line. They need to put trust in people who have already made plays for them.
Yeah, when you go back and look at that first quarter touchdown that the Toradors had, it obviously came off of the hand of Baumgartner to Davies, but setting up the whole drive before that was McIntyre on the ground. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do here, especially with the time not necessarily on their side.
Yeah, Maddox is averaging 6 yards a carry, though. That's right up there with the top in all of 4A football. You still have 6 minutes left, 6 yards per carry. McIntyre is going to pick up yards every single time. That's a guarantee.
He hasn't been brought down behind the line very much this game
Only
or
once, I
all
believe.
season. So we'll see if the Toradors ride the hot hand here, but they will take a timeout as play clock was running down and didn't quite get the play call in. So we will be right back after this short break. We're back after the timeout by Boone. And that doesn't really help their clock situation that much either. And Maddox is able to break off a gain of about 5 over to the near side of the field. But now Boone only 1 timeout left, down 1 touchdown with about 6 minutes left to go. And Jacob, this also puts the Toreadors into an interesting spot. If you score, do you kick the extra point, try and tie it up, or go for 2, try and take home the win?
I don't think they went for 2 once this season. Noel's been pretty consistent. I do not believe there are overtimes in high school football, is there? You know me, I'm going for 2. You know, Maddox McIntyre's been solid. Dare I say, the best running back in all of 4A football. In my opinion, no bias. Hand the ball to Maddox McIntyre and just watch a masterclass.
Yeah, right there, didn't gain very much. 3rd and 6 now, just over 5 minutes left to play. Boone offense has moved the ball decent so far this drive, but now they face the opportunity of it stalling out. Trying to work quick. Baumgartner. Pass over to Brogdon. His pass is completed, and he's got enough for the first down.
Great read.
Great play there by the Toreadors. Baumgartner finds Brogdon over on the near side of the field, and he doesn't get much after the catch, but he's got the first down for the Toreadors, and that's all they needed there with that play.
Cam, let me ask you something. What do you think they need to do? Go for the win or go for the field goal? What would you do?
It's an interesting. Jude breaks off a big run there, and he's got a first down all in one run, a gain of about 15 or 16 or so. But right now I'm thinking if you score, it all depends in my mind on how much time is left on the clock.
Yeah, well, Iowa Falls has ran the clock down. I mean, they've kicked it down. So the Toreadors, if they get the ball back after they score, they have one timeout. There's not going to be very much time. They're going to have to put a lot of trust in this offense.
They keep it on the ground again with Baumgartner, and he's got a gain of about 5.
And I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to get up and go in their offense, and so they have a chance to play defense. They put the faith in their defense. Get the ball back, I'm going to say, with about hopefully a minute or so. Put the ball on the 20-yard line, no mailing game-winning kick.
2 back-to-back run plays for the senior quarterback, Baumgartner. And it brings up a 2nd and 5. This time they'll give it back to Maddox, and he gets yanked back by back of his jersey. The fans here wanted a flag, but refs decide not. And he gets brought down behind the line for a loss of a couple yards. And that tackle definitely did look a little bit awkward. Don't know if it was enough to bring out the penalty flag, but the fans here wanted it, but refs did not give it to them.
I think that's the kind of call where it's late in the game, it's close. You don't know if it's close enough to call. You can't bring the flags down at this point of the game like that.
Baumgartner passing, leads Davies a little bit too far, and it's incomplete. So now it's a 4th and 7. Toreadors with a must-convert situation here, because if they don't pick up the 7 yards they need, I have a feeling this one is all but over with only 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the game.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Cam. If there's ever a play that they need something, it's now.
And we'll see if they go back to the hot hand of McIntyre to get them what they need, or if they'll trust the senior quarterback. And they bring pressure. He lobs it up and off the chest of the defensive back, incomplete. And so Iowa Falls takes over
Broken up by Carson Palouse.
with 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly left to play.
It's most likely going to give them the win. But the Torador defense has made some special plays, so can never counter that with the big green D.
Yeah, they definitely made some nice stops here. You can, if you like, expect Iowa Falls to come out with some run plays, try and chew the clock down as much as they can. So do you pinch the line of scrimmage if you're Boone, Jacob? Make sure try and stop them quick.
They've done some trickery, but I think dominating the defensive line is where you have to go. I'm going to agree with you. I think pinching the line and keeping your outside linebackers on the on their toes, I think you got to.
Boone only has one timeout left to stop the clock, so Iowa Falls should be able to chew most of it if they do have to give the ball back to Boone at all. And then a penalty brings them up even further, so now a 1st and 5.
This has been a mental battle. Torador's penalties have kind of killed them.
Palouse keeps it on the ground.
Palouse on the carry. Brought down by Dean Garrett.
Brought down by a couple of Torador's defensive linemen. Brings up a 2nd and 2 after the gain of 3. And if you're Iowa Falls, probably going to let this play clock tick down as much as possible before you snap the ball.
Yeah, about 1 first down is all they need. Don't get it there.
Jack Dewitt.
Yeah, they kept it on the ground with Dewitt, but he gets stopped behind the line. So it'll be a 3rd and 2, maybe a 3rd and 3.
Toradors have some life here, maybe.
If you stop them here and bring up a 4th down, I think you call your last timeout, get the ball back, and see if you can get something very, very late in this 4th quarter.
Yeah, for sure. Need something here. This is the game.
3rd and 2, and a flag comes in from the far side of the field and back. Iowa Falls up, making this 3rd down even harder for them to get.
They took the penalty by running that clock all the way down. Going to be honest, Cam, I like that strategy out of Iowa Falls, but the Toradors have to look at that with some upside. Get the stop here, get the ball back, and hope God's on their side.
Toradors find themselves down a touchdown with just over 1 minute left to play. Iowa Falls currently facing a 3rd and 7. Toradors only have one timeout left to stop the clock and give their offense some time. Palouse finds his man on the far side of the field, and he's got more than enough for what he needs to pick up the 1st down. He does find his way out of bounds, though. So stops the clock, but with that 1st down, I think this one is pretty much put away for Iowa Falls.
Yeah, screenplay right there is a risky play, but it plays out for Iowa Falls. But if you're the Toradors, you're probably expecting run. Gotta get that stop.
And now we're at 1 minute left to play. Iowa Falls just picked up the 1st down. Toradors still only one timeout left. And so we'll see Iowa Falls comes out in victory formation. And kneel it. So this one should be over. Boone drops a tough one here at home with a final score of 14-7.
Yeah, you dropped the tough one on senior night. You take this, though. You take your loss. You look at it, and you take this. You look at his anger, and you go into ranked ADM, and you shock the world.
Clock under 30 now. And they'll kneel it out one more time, and that one puts it away for Iowa Falls with the final score 14-7. Boone not being able to find the end zone after that first receiving touchdown early in the first quarter. And with that, we would like to thank everyone for their support and for watching our live stream. Without our viewers, we would not be able to put on this fantastic production at every sporting event. Jacob, Toreadors drop a tough one, 14-17. What are your takeaways from this game, and what do you think the Doors need to work on going into next Friday?
Yeah, biggest takeaways, the run game looks good. They do have an established defense. Only gave up 14 points. Biggest thing that they need to work on, though, I think, is improving the offense. Get the offense going a little bit, but once everything clicks, this team is going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, they'll be back in action next Friday in 8 a.m. And with that, this has been Cam Lehman and Jacob Boone for Boone TV. Thank you for watching.
We appreciate your support and hope you enjoy the coverage. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and subscribe on our YouTube. Stay tuned for sports highlights. Roll Doors!